Hey guys, it's Logan with Sweetfish Media. We are really excited to tell you about a brand new podcast that we just launched for our friends over at MarketBridge, the Last Mile Podcast. We're going to be sharing a few minutes of my conversation with Tim Furey, the new host of the show, here today. If you think you'll find it valuable, just search the Last Mile Podcast in Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast player. As some of you know, I am an Android user, so I tend to lean towards Pocket Casts, but search wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure you subscribe. And if you really like it, don't forget, leave a review. And hey, if this show isn't right up your alley, maybe you know someone who could benefit from hearing this show. Maybe shoot them a text or a LinkedIn message, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, who knows? Just get in touch with them, let them know about this show. And it could be a great way to stay in touch with someone in your network and let them know you're thinking about them. All right, here's my conversation with Tim Furey, the new host of the Last Mile Podcast.
Uber didn't invent the taxi. PayPal didn't invent the dollar. And Amazon Web Services didn't invent cloud storage. None of those three companies who have been disruptive forces in their industries invented a brand new product. What they did do is figure out a different way to take it to market. And if you focus specifically on an Uber, what you realize is they have taken a fairly commodity type business, ride hailing, which is really just somebody in a car, somebody in a taxi wanting to get from point A to point B, and put a technology behind it that totally changed how people go to market. And what they did is they focused on making it easier for buyers to buy the product. So it's now easy for you to go on your app, find out where a car is, send a request, the whole process of getting there, mapping it, your payment, all that stuff makes it incredibly easy for buyers to now get a taxi. And you could say the same thing for PayPal in terms of transferring money, and you could say the same thing for AWS in terms of storing data. They also, at the same time, all three of those companies made it easier to sell because you've now got a product that is a fairly easy product to just try. If it works, people use it again, and then they use it again, and they use it again. So what the last mile refers to is how companies take a product from not just I've generated demand and I've got somebody who's interested in my product. How do I actually take it and really go through several stages? One is, how do I get people to actually use it? How do I activate? How do I get usage of it? And how do I increase usage and increase the number of users of a product? How do I get them to retain and renew their purchase? And then how do I get them to potentially add other purchases and cross-sell and gain share of wallet? And that's really what we want to focus on the last mile is how does technology across every industry begin to play a critical piece in how you go to market?
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that preview of the Last Mile Podcast and that snippet of my conversation with Tim Furey. He is going to be a fantastic host, already has some phenomenal guests lined up for the Last Mile Podcast. If you are interested in sales and marketing, especially in the enterprise space and how companies are changing their go-to-market, optimizing for future growth, and mapping the customer journey across the entire life cycle, I would definitely recommend subscribing to this show. Again, just search the Last Mile Podcast in Apple Podcasts or whatever app you do your listening in. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend if you think they'd like it. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. We totally get it. We publish a ton of content on this podcast, and it can be a lot to keep up with. That's why we've started the B2B Growth Big Three, a no-fluff email that boils down our three biggest takeaways from an entire week of episodes. Sign up today at sweetfishmedia.com/big3. That's sweetfishmedia.com/big3.